Hello, trading is closed on December 20th, 2016. My last call said that yesterday's pattern was negative unless we kept up and promptly took out this high, which is what we did. We had a MEJT target of 2268.27 from 5 days ago. You'll notice it was hit and it was a good support and resistance level. During the day, MEJT gave an ultimate buy and an ultimate sell early on. Typically it leads to a wishy-washy morning, and that's what happened. It also said that this rally and this drop weren't for keeps. It said after this time we would return to this line, which we did right at the close. So we closed at a MEJT resistance level. We said that this was a pattern which typically hits a high after about an hour and drops into the close. That was the pattern we got. This is kind of an early close. Everything would be set right if we gap down tomorrow and undercut this low. If not, then the failure would be positive. Note that we gapped up and we couldn't overtake these highs unless we gap up and overtake the highs by the open. That's a negative formation. So with these conflicting signals, I think the most likely scenario is we gap outside of the day's range, or at least trade outside of the day's range early on. We do have a wall into the close that makes it plausible that we gap down, undercut this low, and put all the timing back in place. Well, what's happened to my delightful DeMark sell signals? They haven't worked out. I really wanted us to basically hold on to the point of the Fed announcement that was 22.72.26. I said breaking it slightly wouldn't hurt. The high was 22.72.56. I really need this to hold if my scenario is going to work out. As if this DeMark sell signal on the daily and this DeMark sell signal on the weekly weren't enough, and all the other DeMark signals I showed weren't enough. We now have a new one. Here's bar 13 of a sequential sell on the 130-minute chart. Well, what about the wave count? Wave counting is not my long suit, but every website I go to is calling this a triangle, and there should be one more fling up. I'm still finding it hard to count the internal structure as a triangle. It's pretty hard for me to count it as anything. The best I could come up with is we could have a leading diagonal triangle here. These lines outlining the triangle don't really have to converge, although they usually do. They don't have to. And if that's an A and that's a B and that's a C, if that's the count, we have some pretty interesting Fibonacci relationships. If you look at wave B, here's A and C. They really are related. Here's wave A. Here's wave C. That's pretty nice. And if you take this wave A here, and you compare it, if that's wave C, you're not really perfect at 50%, but you're pretty close. It's still hard for me to count this as a bunch of threes, which is what you need to make a triangle. This looks like a more plausible count to me, but I could be dead wrong, and we should find out early tomorrow. I'm looking for a gap and a prompt move outside of the day's range. If my analysis is correct, the gap should be down, and we should be starting a third wave down. If I'm wrong, it should be obvious well before the open, and we should overtake this high. And if so, a lot of my analysis isn't going to work in all likelihood. So tomorrow's open should be critical, and that's today's call.